afternoon. This is Brandon Hamer with Aurora Co-op, and just kind of a quick agronomy update on what we're seeing in the field. As we're driving up and down the road, we're starting to see corn tassel. Actually, this is down here at Hastings at one of our test plots, and this is actually a 102-day hybrid, and you can see we're actually in full pollen shed here, starting to get some silks out and starting to pollinate the ear. So one of the things I want to highlight is if you look at the upcoming forecast, we're looking at the next 10 to 14 days of very hot weather. We're looking at 270 GDUs of accumulation in the next 10 days. So things are going to move along really fast. This crop's under a lot of stress and a lot of pressure to grow fast. So one of the things we really are encouraging guys to look at is get the fungicide on early. We know the combination fungicides can provide some plant health benefits to us. They help that plant slow down and respire at night. So one of the biggest paybacks that we've seen off of our fungicides is not necessarily from disease pressure, but from helping that plant when it's under stress. So we just kind of want to highlight that. In addition, some other things that we're watching for on the insect front, we actually had some spider mite pressure at this field. We were able to get it sprayed and get good control. Depending on where you're at, some areas have been wet. Down here at Hastings, we haven't had a decent rain in well over a month now. So we're very dry. There's very dry areas of the state. So in those areas, we really need to be watching for spider mites. We're seeing a lot of grasshopper pressure. When it comes to grasshoppers, it's important to control them when they're small. I don't see anything on the horizon that's going to cause mortality in the grasshopper populations. Usually if it gets wet, cool, and humid, they'll die on their own because of fungus that hits them. But this year we're shaping up for the next 14 days not looking that way. So once those grasshoppers get out of the first, second instar stage, they become very difficult to control. Plus they start to eat a lot. So we're watching that. And then final insect that just is showing up now, I've been out in a couple fields the last couple days seeing some western bean cutworm egg masses. Obviously now that we're getting into pollination, we have the silks here. Typically they'll lay on the upper part of the leaf, upper 2 or 3 leaves, and then they crawl to the silks as fast as they can to get their protection. So a little bit of a math. I know sometimes you look at tip feeding and think maybe they're not causing a lot of damage, but if you take just 3 kernels off the tip of an ear due to western bean or earworm feeding, take that times 32,000 plants, 18 rows around, that actually equates out to a 21 bushel yield loss. And so fungicides applications, if you're making those, it's a no-brainer to throw an insecticide in if you're seeing some western bean or earworm pressure, just for that added level of protection and to prevent that damage. So the moth flight's pretty heavy, or picking up I should say. We're not into quite the heavy swing, but we're starting to see that uptick. So we'll be monitoring that over the next few days.